Let the man cub alone. He belongs to us.
So, you know that awesome live-action version of The Jungle Book that came out in 2016, directed by the talented Jon Favreau? Well, get this, there's been some buzz about a sequel since then. Yeah, it's been hinted at since 2016, right after the first one hit theaters. What made the first Jungle Book so special was how it struck this perfect balance between the classic animated version from 1967 and Rudyard Kipling's original book from 1894. Like, talk about a mashup of old and new. And here's the kicker, the live-action one had its twists and turns compared to both the animated flick and the book. Remember how the original animated movie ends with Mowgli deciding to join the human world? Well, in Favreau's version, Mowgli's like, nah, I'm good right here with my animal pals. He uses his human smarts to help them out and stuff, and that's where the sequel comes into play. As for who's coming back for round 2 in The Jungle Book 2, well, it's a bit of a mystery right now. I mean, without an official confirmation, it's like trying to navigate through the jungle blindfolded. But hey, let's speculate a bit, shall we? Since most of the main characters are animated, it shouldn't be too tricky to get the gang back together. I mean, who wouldn't want Bill Murray's laid-back vibes as Baloo or Ben Kingsley's wise demeanor as Bagheera? And Lupita Nyong'o's nurturing voice as Raksha and Scarlett Johansson's hypnotic tones as Kaa. Well, those guys are kind of essential to the whole vibe. Now, when it comes to our human star, Neel Sethi, who played Mowgli, there's been some chatter. Back in 2018, he seemed pretty keen on reprising his role. He even mentioned it to Gulf News, saying they were planning to start filming as soon as the director was ready. But hey, here's the thing. Sethi was 12 when the first movie came out in 2016. Time flies, you know. So unless they're setting the sequel a few years down the line or something, he might have aged out of the role. But hey, this is Disney we're talking about. They've got some serious magic up their sleeves. Who knows what they'll come up with? So fingers crossed that we get some official news soon, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be venturing back into the jungle before we know it. So you're probably wondering what kind of adventure we might see in The Jungle Book 2, right? Well, according to John Marks, who wrote the first movie, there's some cool stuff in the works. Marks talked about diving deep into both Rudyard Kipling's original stories and some hidden gems from the classic Disney film from 1967 that didn't make it into the first live-action flick. He mentioned how they found some awesome ideas in the Disney archives, stuff that Walt Disney himself had tossed aside back in the day. They were like, hey, these ideas are gold, let's bring them back. So it sounds like they're planning to mix it up with a blend of Kipling's tales and some classic Disney magic. But here's the thing, Marks mentioned all this back in 2018, and since then, it's been pretty quiet on the Jungle Book 2 front. Like crickets chirping quietly, there are no updates on the story or when they might start filming. Oh, and speaking of sequels, did you know there's already an animated Jungle Book 2? Yeah, it came out in 2003, but it was a straight-to-video deal. In that one, Mowgli heads back to the jungle to hang with Baloo and take on Shere Khan. Now, that story might not fit perfectly for a live-action sequel without some tweaking, but who knows? Maybe Favreau and Marks will borrow some ideas from it to spice things up in The Jungle Book 2. Disney's The Jungle Book 2 might just delve into some forgotten treasures from their original animated classic, along with Rudyard Kipling's timeless tales. Let's face it, Disney's got a treasure trove of franchises and IPs, with the MCU and Star Wars hogging most of the limelight. But hey, their recent streak of live-action retellings has been nothing short of spectacular. From Alice in Wonderland to Beauty and the Beast, they've been hitting it out of the park. And now with Jungle Book 2 officially in the works, it's like the adventure's just getting started. Sure, it might be a while before we swing back into the jungle, especially since Jon Favreau's currently neck-deep in The Lion King. But fear not, preparations are well underway. Justin Marks, the writer behind the first live-action Jungle Book, is back on board, teasing us with hints about where the story might take us next. In an interview with Slash Film during the TCA press tour, Marks spilled the beans on the sequel's progress. It's in the early stages, with Marks having already hammered out a draft of the script. And get this, they're not just sticking to the beaten path. Nope, they're diving deep into the archives, mining for gems that didn't cut the first film. Marks mentioned how they're drawing inspiration from the '67 animated classic, even digging up ideas that Walt Disney himself tossed aside. Talk about hidden treasures. As for what exactly they're pulling into the sequel, well, that's still a bit of a mystery. Marks isn't giving away any spoilers just yet. But hey, that just adds to the anticipation, right? What we do know is that they're not tied down to any single storyline. Thanks to the changes they made in the first live-action Jungle Book, the possibilities are endless. But hey, don't hold your breath just yet. With The Lion King still on the horizon, Favreau's got his hands full for the time being. It'll give Mark plenty of time to polish up his script though. And once Favreau can shift his focus to Jungle Book 2, well, let's just say it's going to be worth the wait. Now here's the kicker, Neel Sethi, the young star who played Mowgli, is hoping to return for round 2. But with time marching on, they might have to tweak the story a bit to accommodate his age. And fingers crossed, we'll get to hear the familiar voices of Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, Lupita Nyong'o, and the rest of the stellar cast reprising their roles too. With all this buzz surrounding the Jungle Book 2, it's hard not to get excited about the adventures that lie ahead. I mean, just imagine diving back into the lush, vibrant world of the jungle with Mowgli and his animal pals at the helm. It's bound to be a spectacle like no other. But you know what's got us itching with curiosity? It's this whole idea of revisiting some of the unused concepts from the original animated movie. Like, what kind of hidden gems are they planning to unearth? And how will they seamlessly blend them with Kipling's timeless stories? The possibilities are as vast as the jungle itself. And let's not forget about the magic of CGI. Given the sheer magnitude of the visual effects involved, it's no wonder that bringing this jungle to life will take some time. But hey, good things come to those who wait, right? And if it means getting to see Mowgli and his friends swinging through the trees once again, count us in. As for Neel Sethi, the young actor who captured our hearts as Mowgli, here's hoping they can find a way to bring him back into the fold. Sure, he might have grown a bit since we last saw him, but hey, that's all a part of the adventure. And who knows, maybe his return will add a whole new layer of depth to the story. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.